Dictation will start abruptly after 5 seconds. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, I rise to support the finance bill which has been presented by the Honorable Finance Minister. Sir, thereafter, he was also pleased to announce some more concessions, and those concessions were also announced on the floor of the House. I have heard with great patience the various points which the honorable members from opposition were making here. The main thrust of their criticism was that the honorable finance minister has left a very huge deficit uncovered, almost rupees 1700 crores. This has been left uncovered just 3 days before the budget. The petroleum minister was pleased to announce some price hike in petroleum products as to cover the gap. I do not know whether honorable member thereby wants to say that this is one of the means of resource mobilization. If he is fully convinced that this is resource mobilization in which finance minister through the petroleum minister has done this, then of course he will be perfectly justified in raising that point. But everyone of us is aware of the fact that there is still an element of subsidy in oil. We have not completely cleared the entire thing. So, any question of resource mobilization normally will not arise. Thereafter, there are only two courses left. One course is to reduce the developmental expenditure, but the finance minister has been pleased to say that he has raised the developmental expenditure corresponding to the last year by 16%, and the honorable members themselves have criticized this by saying that the price rise has been of the order of 20% and your step up is just 16%. That clearly shows that there is hardly any scope of reducing the developmental expenditure. On the other hand, everyone of us in one sector or the other has been requesting the minister concerned that he should do this and do that and try to step up the developmental expenditure. If rupees 1700 crores of deficit has been practically left uncovered, what are the means available? One, to reduce developmental expenditure, which, according to honorable members, is irreducible. You cannot do it. Now, the other thing or the other means which is available is taxation. The Honorable Finance Minister should have gone in for increased and heavier doses of taxation. This would have again been criticized by the opposition members as well. I congratulate him for his imagination, boldness, and taking very calculated step. Deficit financing is a very effective instrument in the hands of the finance minister, which has to be used in a very calculated and selective manner. Otherwise, undesirable consequences are bound to follow. But here, the finance minister has weighed every step and taken calculated risk. We can very well analyze the assumptions which he was having in his mind when he took this step where he did not levy any additional tax and left such big deficit uncovered. According to him, he had two or three assumptions. One is that monsoon is going to be good. We will have normal agricultural production, and with the stocks at our disposal, with normal monsoon, with good agricultural produce in our hands, there will not be any big problem. That is one assumption. Another assumption is what he has clearly stated in his budget speech, announcing a number of concessions. In the case of direct taxes, he expects that everyone will behave properly. Exemption limit was raised from rupees 40,000 to rupees 50,000, surcharge reduced from 20 to 10%. He expects better tax returns to be filed so that he will be able to concentrate on major parties, leaving out the smaller one as far as possible. And his third assumption, according to me, is the incentive which he has offered to the industrial sector, thereby expecting that a proper atmosphere of investment and growth will be created. Now, these are the three or four assumptions on which he seems to have framed his budget proposals. Now, it is the people who have got the benefit, got all the concessions that the finance minister himself has offered without anything asking for the same. I do not think that any pressure was brought on the finance minister for these concessions. He, on his own, knowing the working of the industry department, knowing also the working of the finance department, has announced so many concessions with a view to create a proper atmosphere of growth and production. He expects that his budget proposals will ultimately lead to greater production both in the industrial sector as well as in the agricultural sector. How best we respond is now left to the common people for whom he has announced so many concessions. As a matter of abundant precaution, I have one or two suggestions merely for his consideration. The first point which I would like to suggest will be about appreciable reduction in the non-developmental and non-plan expenditure. If this can be resorted to, a large number of schemes can be transferred to the respective state governments.